Yes, so I think you did really well last adventure, and I was really pleased how you all interacted with each other. I'm just putting your name tags on
I
this front.
noticed that was coming up then. I
Yeah,
thought I'd done something.
I just like it up on this front screen. And the party is joined by their decker called Athena, and also they've been ferried around by a rigger called Wheels for the past adventure. Now, you had some karma from the last adventure, and I'm just checking. I'm just checking what was going. I know, Hector, you're saving yours up, and you need to find yourself some way to do some initiation to increase your skills. I think Studley, you're saving yours up for future upgrades.
Yes,
Yeah, does that
yes.
involve anything?
Because that's the first camera I actually got last
That
adventure.
is true. Yeah, that is true. And Billy Bob.
Yeah, I'm saving mine for the time being as well.
All right. So lots of saving up then. Lots of saving up. Okay then. So obviously you're looking for a new adventure, a new run in order to get yourself some money. And just as always, a little bit about 3-4 weeks later from your the timely exchange job, you get a call, and you get a call from Charlie, your Mr. Johnson stroke fixer, who is suggesting that you meet in the usual place, which, if you might remember, is an abandoned warehouse down by the docks, where he usually gives you his the job. However, before we dash off down there, Studley, can you just roll a matrix search roll for me, please? Oh, two successes.
Two successes.
Yeah. There's some interesting things about on the Matrix at the moment. There's the exploits of the physical adept that you think you stunned and not killed, you stunned. They were actually, the body was actually found at Qubit 64, and there's various news stories of this. However, Qubit 64 is not claiming responsibility for it at all, and it also mentions that several people. Is somebody moving house?
Maybe. Longshanks decided he was cold, so he just wanted to get a better jumper.
All right. The interesting thing is that I forgot completely what I was saying now. Hang on, let me just read the notes. Completely put off. Oh, yes. So the Qubit 64 appears to deny all responsibility for the woman that was found unconscious on their premises, and has also remarkably in the last 2 weeks actually removed their whole security system and security guards, and has actually re-employed a whole load of new people, and actually making everybody else unemployed, and virtually said, pack your bags and go. And I just thought that might be interesting for you.
Do I get any information from the news story of how the news story actually came to light?
No, you got 2 successes. So one's about the woman and one's about the security force. And that's basically, so it's just sort of like a headline that basically says Qubit 64 strange woman found on floor in Cubic 64's building.
And they're denying all knowledge of who she is, but
Yeah,
weeks
completely.
later they changed all their security.
Yeah, and they seem to have had an upgrade, but obviously it doesn't actually state what the upgrade is. And then part of this upgrade of their security system was to replace all their security guards in one fell swoop. So lots of unemployment and lots of new employment. But what, you don't know. But you assume that it was probably another upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But they were already pretty high on security compared to 007 bytes, weren't they?
Well, if you would like to make a memory test, if you tell me who's, you can do. Let me just get it up. If you would like to do, work out who's got the biggest memory, the best memory.
Logic plus will.
Studley will.
Okay, then. So the first thing, you're the leader. You're going to make a memory test, Studley. So the rest of you are assistants. So Hector and Billy Bob, you will roll your skill, your memory skill, as usual. Each success increases the limit of your leader and also provides them with one extra dice point to roll.
I'm sorry in advance. Yeah.
So your memory roll, the limit is up by 6. It'll be your mental limit, and what you can do is now add 6 dice to that, Studley, and roll away.
4 and 6 is not bad.
4 and 6.
4 and 6 dice is not bad.
Yeah. 2 on 5 isn't that bad either.
I think that's the max I could get. Oh no, 3.
Oh, five successes, brilliant. So I forget what you're trying to remember now.
We were saying about the we were saying that 007 bytes, as far as their as far as Qubit 64 security, it was already pretty good, especially compared to its competitor 007 bytes.
Oh yes, Meows's entered.
Is that somebody else who's got music when they enter? Am I the only one who doesn't now?
No, you're not the only one, should.
Okay, Qubit 64 did have quite significant security compared to 007 byte, but they also had a little bit more money behind them. 007 byte was quite a low rate company, and you often thought from your 5 successes that it was quite amazing that 007 byte actually managed to steal an asset from Qubit 64. You know, it's quite amazing that, and how they got it or who they paid to get it, you really do not know. Okay. So, as previously stated, Charlie would like to get in touch with you. So, as usual, the call comes through to all your comlinks, and you are invited down to the normal warehouse where you tend to meet up to sort of like participate in these discussions. And I think, yes, you are all on the map already. So I will just slide you across. So, guys, how are you actually getting there?
Well, Hector and Billy Bob will probably be arriving together, considering they still live together as far as I know.
Oh, that's nice. And don't forget that
room is.
Don't forget you've had a month, so you need to take off your lifestyle costs. So Billy Bob, I assume you are taking Rusty Rosie.
Yeah, we'll be in Rusty Rosie, yeah.
Cool. So start off by rolling to make sure she starts up. it might be good
crap.
at some point to invest in some mechanic skills or some money to actually, get some repairs going here for poor Rusty Rosie.
Oh, that's the wrong one. I bet.
How's Studley arriving? It's 10 o'clock at night as usual for these meetups.
Studley's going to be going on his Dodge Scoot, which is called Jessie Bell.
Yeah, cool. I think I've got a picture of it.
It's not the wrong one as well.
Let's have a look.
That's a mechanical.
Yeah, that's the mechanic
you
one.
want ground.
So yeah, he just
Try
checked
the
the car
ground
over.
You need the Groundcraft one.
Oh, there it is. I like Groundcraft.
Oh no!
3 successes.
Excellent. Yeah, so you start it up quite efficiently. I can't find your little scooter anymore.
Oh. You did have it on your.
I did have it.
It's. You should still have it in. Yeah, what do you call it?
The photo files in
On your Discord.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, see, whenever I add anything from any game, oh no, that's your token. It seemed to have gone all together. It's been.
But the other interesting thing is, I now see NPC templates in that same list, which I never used to.
On which list is this?
On the journal list.
Yeah,
I just used to see pictures and the rule things, but now I have another one that says NPC templates.
Is there anything in it?
There's
insect
skateboarder
groups.
and rating 0 lieutenants and one, and that it's in insect group.
Okay, hang on a minute.
And I'm wondering whether or not that's why it appeared in the.
Right, I think you'll probably find that rating 0 has now gone.
No, it's
Nope.
still there. Well, we might need to. Might need to do it anyway. I'm not on. I take it off there anyway.
For some unknown reason, it was showing all players.
Right.
So I've just taken. I think it's because skateboarder was wheels in the last adventure, and I allowed you to move him around.
Right.
Yeah.
So So Studley will be going on his little Dodge Scoot, which is very much just like a moped,
Cool.
and it has a plastic screen on the front of it, which he likes to refer to as his fly screen, and it also has a box on the back which he uses to keep his open front helmet in when he's when he's not riding it.
Excellent. I wish I had a picture of it, but I don't. For some reason, it is gone. It's just disappeared. So I don't know what you've done to it. Maybe
There's no way for me to send it to you, is there?
No, I can pick it up from Discord again. It just takes me a little bit of time. Okay, so you can see that you're outside. So it's up to you guys.
It comes to very close to the actual meeting time, and Studley still hasn't arrived.
Okay.
Billy Bob's gonna just hang outside for a bit just to make sure he comes. So he'll probably just stand in the doorway. This is the doorway here, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, the doorway's right the way down at the front. It's sort of like close-ish. It's never sort of like completely closed, but it's always ajar a bit. But it looks quite stable. It's not as if people can walk in and out.
Yeah, so Billy Bob's just going to stand on stand outside next to the door and wait to see if Studley rocks up.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Hector will have gone in just to make sure that the place was empty. He was expecting it to be empty, but after the first time that we met him and having unwanted visitors, he's just going to make sure.
There it is.
There you go.
Yeah, she is. Good
Yes.
old Jessie.
Yeah. Cool.
Bless her.
Bless her. Yeah, so that's cool. I've just seen where it is now. Yeah. Okay. So you head on inside, Hector, and Billy Bob is waiting outside for Studley to arrive.
It gets to the time of the meeting and Studley still isn't there.
Right, Billy Bob's gonna poke his head round the door and shout to Hector, "Have you called him?"
Hector's going to reply, "No, not yet. I will do in a second." Hector's then going to quickly walk over to the radio box that Charlie normally talks out of. If there's no light on, he's going to give a quick ring to Studley on the comm link.
Okay, Studley, your comm link's ringing.
You hear Studley go, "Hello!" And there's
Hello,
a hollowed like wind noise.
Studley, where are you? You were meant to have met with us 5 minutes ago.
I'm on my way.
How long till you get here?
I can't look at my watch. It would mean taking my hands off the handlebars.
So we'll expect you imminently then.
Okay.
Hector ends the call and then he's going to wander over to the door to where Billy Bob is, poke his head through and go. I think he was on his moped. He's on his way.
Okay, cool. So how long before Studley arrives?
It's about 5 minutes after the meeting is supposed to take place that he... Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about 5 minutes after the meeting is supposed to take place that Studley pulls up outside on Jezebel.
Cool.
And then probably another minute before he takes off his helmet and puts his lock on his front wheel.
Excellent.
And comes in. He's looking slightly flustered, as if he obviously knows he's late, and he comes in and he goes, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry that I'm late. I did have something rather important to do."
Billy Bob's going to turn around and say, "Everything good?"
Yeah, everything. So what's the job then? Have we already got it? Can you fill me in?
No, we haven't got anything. The light hasn't come on, and Charlie hasn't. I think Charlie was perhaps waiting for you.
Oh, well, have we turned it on?
Is that Studley? Is that where you're stood at the present?
No, he'll come up and.
Oh, cool. Okay, so
Stand in between.
once you all approach and stand round the telephone or communicator box, it almost like detects your presence and flickers it into light, and you hear Charlie's voice emanating from it. "Oh, gentlemen and lady," and you hear Athena's voice sort of like wafting over the matrix. "Evening, chaps." And he sort of says, "Well, better late than never. Better late than never."
My apologies for my tardiness. I encountered traffic.
Yes. Anyway, it would appear that your expertise are going before you, should I say, because I know it's been some time since your last job, but it would appear that I have a job for you, and it's a job that is paying well, gentlemen and lady.
That's good. I was glad that we're slowly wiping out our bad reputation.
Yes.
How well is good?
Well, it would seem that my client is willing to pay 3,000 credits for your services, and an extra 2,000 credits if you are actually successful in completing the task. And as you can imagine, this due to your present high reputation of completion, i.e. 100% from the last job, then this should be an easy 5,000 credits for you.
Studley's going to take out his bit of electronic paper that he uses, and he's going to start making notes as Charlie speaks. Starting with 5,000 credits, and then he's going to underline it 3 times.
So, gentlemen, it would appear that it would appear that the job description goes as follows. The job is quite simply to support a doctor with their current investigation about a strange body which they have discovered.
Is that it?
Well, that, as always, Mr. Studley, is the job description, and as you know, that's the limited amount of information that you get and the price until accepting the job. It's only when you accept the job then you get the further
well, of course we're
information.
accepting. Yes, well, I mean, I'm accepting.
So along your comm links, everybody's comm links sort of like gets 2 buttons sort of like suddenly appears on your head-up display. One's green that says accept, and one's red that says decline. And you have the option to press.
It's not one of these ones that when you go to press it, it swaps.
No, it's quite stable.
Hector puts on his AR gloves and will very quickly press the big green button.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, Studley's accepting it.
Yeah.
Billy Bob's going to mash his comm link with his big sausage fingers.
Well, yes, and you sort of like the job sort of like gives a slight bling as everybody accepts it, and then it sort of like fades away, and the buttons fade away, and Charlie says, "Right, gentlemen, it would appear that the next part of the job is to meet the doctor who is hiring you."
Okay. Do you have their name and whereabouts we're actually meeting?
Yes, you are to meet at their, shall we say, clinic, and I will send you the address forthwith. And let's hope that this job, gentlemen, is as good as the last one.
Do we
Billy
have,
Bob.
Sorry, go on, Billy Bob.
Billy Bob's going to ask, fret level. What's the fret level?
Oh, for a big guy like you, probably minimal.
The actual job description is very broad in its phrasing. We have to help him with his investigation.
That is correct. I'm sure.
How do we know when the job's over?
I'm sure, Mr. Studley, once you have met the doctor and heard about their investigation, the conclusion of the job will become apparent. And I'm sure that they will set the premise for job completion at your first meeting.
Okay. Right.
Do we have a time for the first meeting, or is it just an as and when?
As and when, Master Hector. Oh, Mr. Billy Bob. It would appear that I have a package for you.
You do?
Yes. I'm not too sure why it came via me, but I think your previous Mr. Johnson might have passed it on via fixer to fixer, and I am willing to add it to the successful completion of this job. It looks somewhat like a barrel.
My suppressor?
Oh, Mr. Billy Bob, I am not au fait with all these modern gun terms. I will, of course, deliver it on successful completion of the job. Otherwise, I might just sell it on as, shall we say, payment for any collateral damage. Oh, by the way, Mr. Billy Bob, I am somewhat concerned about the, shall we say, the lethal approach you sometimes use. Surely you can sometimes hit and not kill.
Eh. Depends.
Anyway, like I say, I have a little gift for you if all goes according to plan.
Billy Bob no kill.
Do we get a little gift?
Oh, Mr. Studley, I'm sure I have a gift for you somewhere.
Oh, excellent. Fantastic.
Whether or not
Right, well, thank you very much.
whether or not I choose to give it to you is, of course, completely another matter.
Well, yes. Okay, well, so we shall await for the meet location then.
Oh, no need to wait. Bling! It flashes up on your comlink. Can you all make a memory test for me, please?
The phone just literally blinged when you did that.
Do. Studley, you should do your memory test with not as a team test because you actually do miles better. Miles better.
Billy Bob got 4
Billy
out
Bob
of
did
5.
Oh,
I know.
did I edge that?
No, 3
You
5s
when
and a
it comes
6.
to combat.
Yeah. The little box goes dead, and Athena comes over the airways. Oh, she says, how interesting. And you all look at the address of the street clinic and the doctor's practice, and you suddenly realise that you are very familiar of this address.
Is it where we dropped off?
Is it Ida's place?
Yes, it looks like your new employer is probably the street doc, Ida.
Brilliant.
That's good. We've got a 50-50 relationship with Ida. We'll see what happens.
50-50. We trashed the place.
But we did a successful job beforehand.
Was it actually for her?
We did one which was collecting the medical supplies, and then we did another one where we then brought a stray there and trashed the place.
And then we took another person there with a bomb in his head.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then I forgot about the third one. So yeah, it's not 50-50.
It might be interesting to see how Max is getting on.
Well, maybe
We'll go
Max
with
is the job.
Maybe.
Okay, so we can basically go down there. We can basically go around there now.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Yeah.
Hector's happy to. Yeah, I'm happy to go now.
Okay.
Why not?
Billy Bob's going to ask Studley if he wants to jump in Rusty Rosie or if he's going to take his bike.
Dudley will say, "Oh, no, it's okay, thank you. I shall make my own way there. It's better to have my own transport just in case I do have to leave.
Roger.
But thank you very much for the offer, Mr. Bob."
Okay, so the party heads off in their various directions and arrives at Ida's place shortly after. And Billy Bob parks Rusty Rosie outside, and eventually, Studley, you arrive slightly out of breath from the ride, and you rack up your little moped and put the front lock on as usual. And Ida's clinic stands before you.
Is there people in the doorway?
There's nobody in the doorway, but you know that Ida's clinic is often, well, it's open like 24 hours because of Ida's philosophy, you know, that it's always available for people who need assistance to arrive and be treated.
Billy Bob's just going to walk on in.
Hector would be fairly close on Billy Bob's heels as well.
Yeah, Studley will sort of like pull up his trousers and then sort of like do a little run to catch up to them so that he's also going in. As he goes in, though, he's going to stop just at the doorway, and he's going to look back, and he's just going to have a have a look round across the street, see whether or not there's any cars parked or anything, or anybody
Okay,
who
then,
might be keeping an eye out on the actual premises.
Roll a perception roll. Big Beastie, your rolls are coming up as Big Beastie, by the way. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. You can't see anything. It's nothing that catches your attention.
Okay.
I'm going
he'll
to
push his glasses back up onto the bridge of his nose, and he'll turn around and he'll go back in, catching up to the other two.
I'm just pinging you a private message on Discord.
Oh, I don't know. Could I close it down in between? What do you call it?
Okay, so as you walk into Ida's street clinic, the first thing that hits you is that almost like that smell of disinfectant and bleach. In a place like this, there of course is there's a lot of germs and infections and everything like that. So Ida does keep the place immaculately, clean. Apart from the fact that she comes out, she's an orc, as you know, and she's quite rough and ready, and she continues to smoke her old time tobacco. And she comes out, she goes, "Oh no, you haven't been injured again, have you?"
No, not this time.
No. Actually, we've been we're your new employees, I think. We have been sent here to help you on a job.
She says, "I was hoping for something a little bit more, shall we say, professional." She says, but she says, let's just do it. Let's just do it. See whether or not you could make a mess of this with my clinic again. Come with me. And she sort of like leads you into one of the back rooms. And as you go into the room, there's two beds. And one of them has a curtain, one of those hospital curtains, sort of like dragged round it. And the other one, you can see Max is lying there. He seems to be extremely still. And you see he seems to have what appears to be some kind of hairdryer. You know those hair dryers that you get in hairdresser shops in our current century? One of those over his head. He seems to have like a robe on and sort of like is very still, and his eyes seem to flicker now and again. And I just sort of goes, "So what do you think?"
I take it he still has the explosive device in his head.
Oh, yeah. She says, do you want, she says, come with me. Do you want to have a look? Come with me. It's really interesting. Come over here.
I hope you're going to show me pictures.
And she sort of like takes you over, and Max has quite a serene look on his face. He doesn't look like he's in pain or anything like that. He's just lying completely still, and you notice his eyes are flickering as if some kind of REM sleep going on. And Ida reaches out and presses a button, and the top half of their hairdressing dryer goes ptss, and opens up, and you sort of like can see inside, and it appears that Ida has sort of like drilled sort of like steel pins into the Max's cranium, and so this hairdryer, the bottom of it is actually attached completely, and you can see that there appears to be as a hairdryer sort of like clicks open, there's this almost like this gush of cold air, and you sort of like look inside, and the whole top of his cranium, his skull, is actually not there at all, and you can actually see it inside. You can see his sort of like his purple sort of like brain and all the wrinkles of it and everything. And one section of it has almost like been gently, almost like peeled away, and the connecting synapses are being pulled away, and you can see this. It looks like a metal tennis ball. And it's got a whole lot of wires spreading out all over the place. Could you just all make a composure roll? Billy Bob, you can have +3 to your roll.
Okay. Billy Bob almost wants to touch it.
Boom.
He's not going to. He's hoping that Ida will stop him, but... oh, that helped.
So, Hector, you feel almost like this queasy feeling in your stomach when you see Max's sort of like skull exposed like this, and you just sort of like, or almost like feel like your last meal is going to sort of like suddenly occupy your mouth.
Hector went over quite eagerly and quickly to start off with, thinking that she was going to show him like a picture or a trick thing of like
An X-ray.
like a holographic X-ray type thing. But actually having seen the actual thing, he's suddenly feeling very queasy and sick and takes like a half step backwards, going.
Yeah, and
trying to act all cool, but also at the same time trying to not throw up in his mouth a little bit.
Studley sees this and he'll go to Hector. He'll say, "Oh, not feeling too well, Hector.
Something I ate."
Oh, well, if you're going outside to be sick, could you keep an eye on the black sedan that's parked across the way from the clinic? It did look a bit out of place when we came in."
You don't feel like you're going to vomit, Hector, but you can go outside if you wish.
Hector will take that as an excuse to be able to go outside anyway.
Cool.
And he will go and stand outside and pretend to have. And then if anybody's standing outside, he's going to try and pawn like a cigarette off someone.
I'm assuming that Billy Bob and Studley, you're going to relay what's happening, and if you don't, then Athena will pick up your comlink feed and relay to you, Hector. So you
and Hector will be relaying anything he sees outside after he's seen the black sedan. He'll be on his wireless.
Yeah,
sorry, sub vocals.
Hang on, make a perception roll. Yeah, you can't see any black sedan at all. If anything, the street's completely and utterly clear. There's no vehicles there at all.
Studley's going to look at this contraption in Max's head, and he's going to say to Ida, "Oh, it's very interesting. Was there any serial number on it?"
Well, she sort of goes, "Well," she says, "as you can see, there's I'm having to keep his brain frozen with some concoction of dried ice at the moment, just to keep him alive and almost in a catatonic state. This is a very interesting thing. Don't think it would have taken his head off though. More mainly take out his memory."
It wasn't designed to explode in a large area.
Nah.
Maybe take out a room or an office block or something like that.
Definitely just wipe his memory. Maybe induce some kind of coma.
Oh.
Billy Bob's gonna ask, has it gone off, or so, has it gone off?
Nah, she says, it would appear that if I've frozen it, the almost like the deep freeze is stopping any remote signal getting to it. Question is though, should we remove it?
Can you not just remove the receiver?
She says,
would that not just be a smaller part and not actually not actually cause his death?
Mr. Studley, have we met?
Please.
Have we met, Mr. Studley?
Call me Stanley.
Stanley, that's not my worry. It would appear that the cortex bomb is somehow feeding off the electrical energy from within the brain. It's almost as if it's powered by it.
So, what are the options?
Well, we could kill him or disconnect it, which is going to take some time, or we can leave him like this.
Does Max have anything to do with the job that you may have for us?
She looks at you and goes, no.
All right, okay. I was just wondering.
Oh, do you want to see the job?
Well, I think Max at the moment is in very capable hands, and I think we should probably try to gather as much information as we can about how to ascertain the best course of action to ensure that he lives a long and successful life. And in the meantime, we should look at the job that you have for us, because that will be the professional thing to do.
She says, over here. And she goes over to the part of the room that is separated out by the curtain. And she sort of like grabs it and pulls it back. And on the table, the first thing that you get is almost like a whiff of decaying flesh. And it's strong, but not very strong. And you sort of like think, oh, good grief. And there appears to be what's left of a teenager, early 20s guy, and he's strapped to the table, and he appears to have like lesions all over him, like wounds and everything. And you notice that this side of his face, just here, there's no skin here. And you can actually almost like see straight into his mouth. And from where you stood, and you can see down this arm, there's a lot of skin, looks like it's decayed away. And he seems to be wearing what appears to be like a waistcoat covering the rest of him. And then he has normal trousers on and what appears to be boots. And his ankles are strapped down. And Ida goes, she says, no idea. She says, take a look. Just at that point, somebody calls out from outside and somebody says, Ida, we need you quick. Stat! And she says, just be careful. And she sort of like toddles off, leaving you with the body tied down to the, strapped down to the trolley.
Studley's going to read.
Sorry, Hector. I was just going to say Hector would have relayed that he didn't see the black sedan outside, and there's still a sign of it. And if he wants to, and he's going to say, "Do you want me to come back in?"
If you're feeling better, but I must warn you, there's a rather decayed body here. So if you do feel that you have to go outside again to relieve your body of your stomach content, then that's quite all right. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Studley's going to reach into his pocket and he's going to take out his handkerchief that has the initials SL embroidered on the edge of it, and putting it over his mouth and his nose. He's going to observe this body from a distance to begin with, because is it actually decaying?
Two things. Well, three things actually. Hector, you coming back into the room, and
Hector is yes.
okay then. So you need to make a composure check as you come back in. Okay, you feel this decay sort of like hit you, and yet again you're keeping your previous lunch in your stomach, but you do feel quite nauseous as the smell hits you. Studley, you said that you were going to keep at a distance. You need to be a little bit more specific.
Probably about a foot away. The first thing he wants to do, can he walk right the way around this?
No, the trolley is sort of like the head part is up to the wall, but you can get round either side.
Is there anything like a data pad close to it where Ida might have made notes or anything like that, or does she still use the old-fashioned way of?
There's nothing round the bed that you can actually see would be used for notes.
Studley's going to turn around to the other two and he's going to go, oh, very interesting. Obviously, Dad. Why the restraints?
Perhaps she hasn't taken them off since he passed away. Hector says, sort of like every so often going.
I think by the smell, he's probably been deceased for a fairly long time.
Unless he wasn't too good with bathing.
I think that's more of a rotten smell.
Could you all make perception rolls for me, please? And Hector at -2, please.
Three for Studders.
Thank you.
4.
2 for Hector.
Okay, while you're sort of like talking, you sort of like all notice out the corner of your eye that you notice that his chest all of a sudden goes as if he's breathing, and all of a sudden it goes up and down. It doesn't seem to be a regular up and down. It just seems now and again up and down.
Is he wired to like a breathing machine?
No.
Or it's just, no. Then Billy Bob's going to turn around and he's going to point out, not dead.
Well, it certainly looks like he should be.
And smells like it too.
Maybe zombie.
Studley's going to switch his perception to the astral, and he wants to see whether or not there's any signs of any type of cybernetic implant on the body.
Yeah, roll an sensing test.
4 successes.
Yeah, there's definitely no cybernetic in this body, but you do notice the aura's quite strange. It seems to be almost like shifting in and out of existence, and every now and again it sort of like shimmers and fades away in certain areas, then it comes back again. And you also notice that it seems to be radiating deep pain and aggression and almost like viciousness. It's not a pleasant feeling that you get, Studley, at all. You know, not one little bit.
Okay. is it just his legs that are tied down, or his arms tied down
No,
as well?
arms are and legs. And
Okay,
just so you
Studley's-
know, they're strapped down in two places. Each one of them are strapped down in two places. So ankles and wrists, and like biceps and thighs.
Billy Bob's gonna turn around to the others and he's gonna say, "What we supposed to do with this?"
I think, Mr. Bob, we're supposed to be working out either who he is or how he came to be in this state and still breathing. Because to me, he looks like he's been run over by a car probably several times. Studley's going to go up, and he's got some type of waistcoat on. Did you say?
Yeah.
Are his arms bare?
Yes. So he's just like got the waistcoat on his upper half, and the waistcoat is sort of like almost like joined at the bit, so you can. There's a bit of his chest and stomach exposed, but
Okay. Are his eyes open or closed?
no, they're closed.
Okay. So Studley's going to take out his bit of electronic paper, and he's going to start making notes. He's going to start off with approximate age, height, weight. He's then going to do hair color, and he's going to have a look on his arms to see whether or not there's any tattoos, anything like that.
Well, the age you already know, the height, etc. You can probably estimate. Hair is not a lot in places. But he has no tattoos on his arms.
Okay, is there any pockets on the waistcoat?
Not from 1 foot away that you can see. No.
Okay, well, Studley's going to approach closer.
Just roll a perception roll for me, please.
Is there any markings on his clothing, like emblems or anything?
Not that you can see from your distance, Billy Bob.
3.
Studley, you do notice that he seems to have something, a tattoo on his chest.
Okay.
Hector, sorry, go on. Studley.
No, if you
Hector's going to sort of like make a dry swallowing noise of him sort of like trying to pluck up the courage to get a little bit closer to the body. And he wants to have a slightly closer look at the any markings that he can see on the body, or as in any tattoos or any other sort of any of the wounds, so he could potentially try and work out how he got injured.
How close do you want to get?
Standing next to the bed, but not trying not to touch the bed and the body.
I need Studley's approximately 1 foot away from me at the moment.
About a foot away as
So
well, but on the opposite side to Studley.
Okay, yeah. And what do you want to see?
He's going to look for any markings that he can see, such as tattoos or emblems on clothing, and maybe any markings.
So
the actual body that might indicate how he got into that state.
So I would have assumed that Billy Bob and Studley would have passed it on to the whole group, because as Billy Bob saw, that there's no markings on his clothes at all, and the arms have no tattoos. That's what Studley found. But Studley, I presume you've also passed on that there looked like there was something on his chest.
Yeah.
And it's that tattoo that Hector wants to have a closer look at to see if he recognises anything of the tattoo.
So you're getting closer now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you sort of like reach down and getting a little bit closer. You need to make a composure check. Remember, you've got -2. Yeah, you sort of like get. Do you wish to move the waistcoat at all?
Depending on it, it depends on how much the waistcoat is obscuring the tattoo.
Well, you can only you're going to have to move it to see the tattoo if you wish to.
Hector will reluctantly do that, but also trying to be being careful and keeping an eye on the chap as well, because as it's now been pointed out, the chap is still alive. We expect him to still be alive.
Okay, so you sort of like reach over and sort of like you using your delicate hands, you sort of like bring back the waistcoat, exposing a bit more of his chest, and you can actually see something on there. I'll go to. I've got a picture of it.
Is it a firebird tattoo? It is.
So you, Hector, sort of like bends over and pulls the two sides of the waistcoat over, and you see this tattoo almost like carefully drawn onto the guy's chest.
Has Hector seen the tattoo before? Or because I don't know if Hector has come across the Firebirds yet or not.
No, I don't think he has.
In which case, Hector would like to have a look to see if he recognises the tattoo. So, like from his vague knowledge of
So make a
gangs of the area.
Yeah, so make a gang, sort of like.
Do I have any situation modifiers?
Just -2.
Looking at the tattoo, does it look like it's recent, or does it look like he's had it for a while?
Are you getting closer to it now?
Yeah, I think we're all pretty close at this point, like standing around the bed.
Okay, so you get closer, and it seems that he's had it for quite a while. It's not new or anything like that. Hector recognizes as the Firebird gang, and Billy Bob. You know this already. Because you've encountered them before, and it looks sort of like quite old, and you notice that a lot of the wounds are almost like over the top of the injury. It's sort of like done over the top rather than underneath it, so you can see that the injury sort of like came afterwards.
Billy Bob's going to explain that he's had a few run-ins with this gang before, and the best thing to do is probably put him out of his misery.
You do notice, Billy Bob, when you're looking at it, that it seems to have something just above the head that you haven't seen before on these tattoos. You're not too sure what it is. It seems to almost like being an addition to the tattoo, and it is a lot more recent.
Right. Is Billy Bob wants to have a look around, seeing if there's anything like a pen or something lying around, and he wants to pick it up and touch a bit of the like a corrosive skin with it.
Yeah. Okay. Then there's some kind of medical implement, and you sort of like it. Do you want to touch this addition? Is that what you're going for?
More of the his skin, like the rotten skin.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see if anything happens to the pen or anything, or
Okay.
or whatever it is.
So you sort of like, there's quite a big piece of, once you've moved the waistcoat, there's quite a big bit of decayed skin just on his chest and sort of like going down his rib. And you manage to sort of like get this sort of like implement, this medical implement, and you can actually start to lift up some of the flesh, and you can see that it almost like moves to one side, and then you just notice that as you lift up, you can almost like see bone underneath it, and you just sort of like go, oh God, what's that? And it looks like it's corroded, almost like right the way through his flesh, or almost like decayed through the flesh to the bone.
But it's done nothing to the instrument that I
No,
was
not
using.
at all. And you can actually move this flesh at all.
Studley's going to go up right the way up to just near his head, and he's going to put his hand on his shoulder and gently shake him.
So you sort of like reach out your hand to shake him, and you notice that just as you get close, he sort of like goes like that, and you get closer and closer, and then you suddenly almost like feel. Are you still in astral perception, or have you come out of that?
No, I'd come out of.
Okay, so you sort of like put your hand closer and closer, and there's almost like you're not too sure, but you can almost like feel a sense of warmth coming from him as you put your hand closer to him, and as you get almost touching it, your hand's almost like touches the guy's shoulder, and you just slowly make contact with him, and the guy goes bah! Like that, and he pulls himself up off the straps almost, and almost like shoots himself forward, and he opens his mouth, and you see almost like these canine teeth that seem to be snapping at the air, trying to snap at something. And you also notice that as he flies his head forward, one of his eyeballs just sort of like fall out of his head and just sort of like flop towards one side. And as the scream sort of like emanates from the room, Ida comes back in and says, "Bloody hell," she says, "what are you doing?"
Studley go, "He's not dead! He's not dead!"
"I know he's not dead. I didn't say he was dead."
"But he looked dead."
She says, "Did he bite you?"
No.
Hector's going to give himself a quick pat down to check that he hasn't been bitten, and then if he hasn't, then he's going to say no.
And this guy seems to sort of like has come up and then just slowly goes back down to almost a sleeping state, and every now and
Studley's
again,
going to turn around to Ida and go, "What the hell is he?"
Hector's, as soon as Studley's finished that, he's also going to inject and go, "What happens if you get bit?"
she says, "I don't know what has happened to him. That's why I'm hiring you lot. It's your job to find out."
Right. Studley's sort of like looking a bit confused. And does he have a son?
Well, she goes, "Yeah, I scanned it. He seems to be a Matthew Jenkins."
Right. So was he brought in? And if so, whereabouts was he found originally?
He was brought in, and he's just been, shall I say, decaying?
So he wasn't like this when he was brought in?
Well, sort of. But he sort of like seems to be slowly, oh, how can I say this? Losing bits. And he's becoming
That's never good.
more and more aggressive. Hence the straps.
Right, so whereabouts was he originally found?
She sort of like looks back to the entrance of the clinic and says, on the doorstep.
Right, he was brought in.
Well, I
You
think
found him on the doorstep.
I think left is probably more of an adequate description.
Right, I don't suppose you have any type of camera system monitoring the front area, do you?
She sort of like leans over to you suddenly and says, I tell you what, little guy, instead of paying you, I'll pay for a camera system.
Right, well, I was only trying to work out whether or not we could actually ascertain some more information of who exactly brought him in, which would give us a...
She says, I've got some more information. And she sort of like rummages around in her front apron. And she brings out what appears to be a metal tube. And she goes like that. And it automatically sort of like clicks open. And inside there seems to be a test tube. And it's bunged quite tightly. And she pulls it out, and it has some red liquid in that you assume is blood. And she turns it round a bit until you can actually see the label on it, and it says ID hashtag 456.
Did he say, what was this on him?
She says, more like in him.
This is his blood.
Yeah, it's his blood. And it's really strange. Really strange. When you look at it underneath a microscope, there's like things happening to the cells. They almost like seem to be mutating and changing. I've never seen anything like it before.
Right.
Billy Bob, can you just make a perception roll for me, please?
Yep. Two.
Excellent.
Studley's going to say, at his current rate of decay, how long would you say before he is deceased?
She says, according to all my sensors and my signs and he should be dead.
Billy Bob's going to turn round and look at the trolley that you can hear strange noise coming from.
Yeah, there's definitely seems to be some liquid. It's sort of like quite yellowy, and it seems to be coming from underneath the guy, and it's sort of like pooled on the edge of the trolley, and it's just sort of like dripping off.
Billy Bob's going to turn around and say, "What's that?"
As soon as Billy Bob points that off, Hector's going to take a sharp step backwards, even if he wasn't anywhere near the weird yellow liquid.
That'll put you up against the wall because you're on the opposite side to Billy. And Ida says, Mr. Bob, that's him. He seems to be liquefying.
The tattoo on his chest, the bit that's recently added. Can you explain what it is or what it looks like?
Yeah, you'll have to have a closer look.
I don't think I want
Just get your head really close.
Yeah. So okay, he's gonna have a better look at this tattoo, this addition to the tattoo. At the same time, trying to keep a safe distance.
Okay, make a perception roll, but you're going to have -3 because you're at a safe distance.
I don't mean safe distance. I mean, okay, right.
You're out of biting range, shall we say?
Yeah, right.
-3 to the dice roll.
What a perception.
Yeah.
Perception -3. Oh, that's not a minus.
Let's just hope this isn't the only information that we have to go.
Oh, he's gonna take a closer look. Then.
It looks like a carrot.
Yeah.
Well, you sort of like look around and your cyber eyes sort of like focus in and sort of like enhance the image. So you get something that's quite blurry to start off with, and then you sort of like flicker your eyes a bit and it sort of like focuses down and it slowly sort of like pixelates and then comes a bit clearer, and eventually you get some idea of what it looks like, and it appears to be some kind of small cartoon image of a ghost.
Okay.
So it looks something like, I'll draw it for you.
Like Casper's ghost.
It looks something. Oh no, sorry, that's a square.
That's a square.
It doesn't look like a. It doesn't look like a square. Let me just get me freehand.
It's a ghost at a fancy dress party.
Yeah, it looks something like.
Dressed as a square.
It's gone as a bedsheet.
Yeah.
Like that. I'll just put it
Okay.
on.
Does a person's
It's very
sin
small
informa-
though. It's only about that big.
So does Billy Bob recognize it from Casper's itself?
It does. You might have seen it before, but you're not too sure.
Right.
It looks like a ghost.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Does a person's sin information give their address and stuff, or is it purely name, date of birth, stuff like
It
that?
can do. It can actually give it, or you can normally extrapolate things from that sin.
Yeah.
If you've
okay.
got that information.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Studley's going to turn to Ida and say, "Is there any more information that you can give on him that might help us track down what is happening to him or where he's from?"
Well, she says, I've got a friend who may be able to help. And since you're investigating and I'm paying you, I think maybe you should go and pay him a visit. His name is, shall we say, an ex-doctor. And he doesn't sort of like look after people anymore. There was something quite strange that happened in his past. Something that is best not mentioned. But he's quite good with this sort of stuff.
Okay.
Studley will look at this decaying body, look back at Ida, then look at this decaying body again, and you go, does it have a name?
Oh, yeah. She sort of like goes over to the nearest terminal and she sort of like connects her comlink pad into it and taps a few buttons, and you automatically get asked whether or not you can have access to your comlinks, from Ida's own network, and I'm assuming you're going to say yes. And two things come through. There's a picture of an elderly man, definitely in his late 70s, 80s, very grey hair, very wrinkly, very weather worn is probably the word for him. And underneath him, he has his title and his surname, and it says Dr. Jekyll. And then underneath that is his apartment location.
Okay.
Hector is going to steel himself, and he's going to start taking various pictures from various angles. We're using his camera and his contact lenses, so that they've got reference material for when they talk to Dr. Jekyll.
You're not very keen on doing that, just out of interest, no. Hector. You don't really like the look of this.
Do you want me to re-roll the composure? See if I can do it.
No, I know, but it's up to you. You've done your composer check, because otherwise you would keep rolling it. Can you see? So once you've done a composure check, that's it. Because otherwise, what happens is that you just keep re-rolling it, and for each action, and then some you'll be able to do and some you won't. So you've got your composer check. It's sort of like set.
Hector's not keen on it at all, and he's going to make sure that he sends the images on to an area that on his comlink that he doesn't normally use, just so he doesn't stumble across them again until he actually needs them. But he's not keen on doing it. But he's thinking we need some pictures to show Dr. Jekyll.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So he's not keen on doing it at all, and he doesn't like doing it, and he's sort of like retching a couple of times when he takes pictures of particularly nasty things, such as half his face disappearing into his mouth and that sort of thing.
Okay.
Studley doesn't have a camera, so he's going to try to draw it on his...
Yeah, cool.
Billy Bob wants to get in touch with Handbrake, see if she's heard anything, seeing that it's a rival gang.
Yeah, you can get it right. So let's move everything on a bit. And is there anything that you want to find out or ask Ida before you leave Ida's place?
Studley wants to he wants to ask her about the number on the test tube, and whether or not that is that the number of blood samples she's taken in a week, month, or a year.
No, this is the number of blood samples that she's taken over a month. And you figured that's probably about right with all the traffic she gets in and out. Sometimes she would take multiple blood samples, but normally it wouldn't just have an ID on it. Normally it would say Max Sinclair. And okay. So when she has one that she's not sure what it is, she actually gives it a code, and that is #ID #456.
And the other thing that he wants to ask is that if she had to say the closest thing medically that was, how Matthew Jenkins was, what would she put it down to?
The closest thing that he is dead.
Right. So it's almost like he's in a state of death, but he's still alive.
She sort of like says it's almost as if he's underground or somewhere slowly decaying and liquefying, but he's somehow alive.
Right. Okay.
Billy Bob wants to know if there's any chemicals that she knows of, or anything that could do this to anyone.
But she says there probably is chemicals that would burn away the skin, that is quite common, and you know several of them, Billy Bob, you know, from your army training, and very much like acids and things like that. But what she says is that that's not what's happening with the skin. The skin is literally decaying. It's not burning away. It's literally decaying. And it's as if he's slowly decaying, but still alive.
Right.
Well, Studley's heard enough, so he's going to arrange to see where the other two want to meet. He tells them that he needs to do some research, see whether or not he can find anything out about Matthew Jenkins.
Approximately what time is it currently?
It's about 10:30 at night.
Hector says, shall we arrange to meet at Dr. Jekyll's, outside Dr. Jekyll's house, mid-morning-ish? Try and go and have a chat to him. Is that long enough for you, Studley? Or would you prefer to meet some other time?
How long do you think Matthew Jenkins has?
Is this to Ida?
Yes. So
sorry,
I'll ask Ida first.
Yeah. She says it's been like that for a week.
Right. So that's how long he was brought in a week ago.
Yeah.
Studley will tell Hector and Billy Bob that he'll message them when he's found out what he can, or we could do it when we're going over down round to we could go around to Jekyll's now, and I could not do it on the way, but once we get there.
Okay.
It's
well.
up to you.
Okay. So what we'll say then is that we're about 1.5 hours in, so let's take our first break here and have a 10-minute break, and then on the break, before we come back, you guys can decide whether or not you want to leave it till tomorrow morning and Studley for you to do it, or do it on the way, and that will be completely up to you. So guys, we're going to have a quick 10 minutes break, so please go away, get a dry break, stretch your legs, have something to drink, and we will catch you back here in 10. Go away, but come back. See you soon.